So Kathy sent me something interesting, and we'll get to that. I have to hold it up, and I will, because it's on Instagram, and I know a lot of you, like Anne-Marie, I don't think you're on Facebook, are you? You are on Facebook? Who's on Facebook? Instagram? Yeah, I know, Jillian. Yeah. A few of not you, not all of
I
you.
never post anything, but I can get in there.
You can't. Well, then I'll send it too, but I'll show it tonight too. Schechter, you're not,
I'm on
right?
a fake name, Jakes McGinnis. Long
Oh,
story,
wow.
you
Okay.
know.
Yeah.
So
Stage name.
yeah,
Cool.
I'm paranoid about social media. I don't know,
I
but
know. I know. I know. Um, but I've been thinking, and I toss this out, and maybe you'll have some insights on it. Do you know, in order to do this work, obviously, the Alexander work or anything creative in our voice work, we are dealing with, I say this all the time but it's really important to hear it again, involuntary muscles. And I think that that is why I mean, it's just all over Renee Fleming's autobiography, where she says, it's a miracle anyone learns to sing well. It's a miracle because you're dealing with involuntary muscles. How do we, well, it's all our work. I was going to say, how do we bring them to consciousness? But it has to be through something that is intuitive, something that allows something to come into mind. So just be thinking of that. How is that possible? The difference between allowing something to come up into mind and thinking about something. That's huge. That is really huge. What is the difference? We go in to think, and everyone does at the beginning, myself included. You don't know any better. You go in and you try to understand. This is, what Renee is saying. Here you have a voice lesson, you have a voice teacher. She's talking in a vocabulary you have never heard before, and she's dealing with involuntary muscles, and you're lost. What do you do? So, how do you stay open to let that teaching get into you, to reveal itself, to get an insight into it? And at the beginning, we all try to process through what we know and what we've had experience in, and that's how we try to do it. That's the thing that I see really hangs people up in lessons, maybe even after a long time, the feeling for something. And then, if we're talking about impulse, I had a student, she's with me a long time, but she said, I need a tool to get into impulse. And I said, there are no tools for that. You just have to uncover it in yourself. But see how we think we want something to, something to do. Now, Kathy sent me this Instagram post of Al Pacino, and let me read you what she wrote, and then we'll look at it, and then I'll send it to you. Those of you who have it, wonderful. Um, she said, I sent you a short video of Al Pacino speaking about his struggle on understanding a court scene he was doing in a play, Richard III. I thought you could forward it to class and at least speak about it. It can be very relatable and encouraging to many of us. His way of explaining the value of repetition, and when asked, doesn't it get boring doing a scene over and over? His answer was no, it's in the repetition that the creation comes, that the expression comes. It reminded me of you saying that you never get bored of rehearsals or practices. And for me, it was this final statement of not getting the scene over and over again. He just could not understand it. But on the 85th time, he finally understood it. It came to him. It became him. He was there. Many of us can relate to that, but knowing that even someone like Al Pacino struggles with not getting something until the 85th time and the clouds finally parted for him, we can certainly stay curious until our 85th time finally comes. And that's why people are always better after a run goes on. And sometimes reviewers will say they'll grow into the part. So maybe they'll grow into the part, and that is really what happens. You really want a long run because you just, you know, making discoveries every time, and you're never phoning it in. Now there are, some Broadway shows where they say, boy, that show is tired. People are just phoning it in up there, but that's not a real, I think, performer. I think that's just people getting a paycheck and going through the motions. But let me just play this. I'll pin myself so you can see it big. Okay, so
repetition keeps me green because there's a saying goes repetition keeps me green because the idea that we do performances over and over again, you would say, well, doesn't that get boring or stale? But no, it's in the repetition that the creation comes, that the expression comes. I'll give you an example. I was doing Richard once, not particularly well, and we couldn't get this court scene with a lot of people in it. I didn't understand what I was doing in the scene. So we would call rehearsals. We would rehearse it and stuff. The 85th performance of Richard, on my 85th entrance, I knew the court scene. I understood it. I was there. I could play it.
But not in 84.
Not in 84. I might have been getting closer, didn't realize it. Yeah. I gave up the ghost. There's a saying goes, repetition keeps me green. Because the...
Of course, you know what I'm going to say about his voice. Oh, brother. That is right down on those vocal cords. Right down on those vocal cords. A million years ago, and I really mean a million years ago, when I lived in Boston, I had a voice teacher, David Blair McClelland. He was rather famous, because like every young singer, you want to go to the next hot teacher. That's very bad advice, so don't take it. But anyhow, David Blair McClelland had written a book, and that's what made him famous. Your Voice at Its Best. And he would sit there in a lesson, and he would read his appointment book. And I'd be singing, and then I'd finish, and he would say, lovely, keep at it. That was the lesson. And this is a sort of amusing, we had an accompanist by the name of Arnold. And Arnold hated the whole business of sitting there and accompanying for students. So he would turn his hearing aid off. So when you wanted him to stop, you would have to gesticulate wildly to him to stop. But anyhow, the story goes on. David Blair McClelland did get me my first professional gig. So that's I've always thanked him for that. But he taught Al Pacino when Al Pacino was in Boston doing American Buffalo, and he also worked with JFK. Pacino completely lost his voice, totally lost his voice. And you can tell. And we sort of accept it when he's doing film, right? That doesn't seem to bother us, but just hearing it here. I never saw him do Richard III on stage, but they made a movie out of it. And I saw the movie. And I remember I don't think that was stellar. But what were your thoughts about that and what I read that Kathy wrote? Any thoughts that you have on what that? Yeah, Jillian.
Okay, I do have thoughts now. I am in my work with clients talking a lot about the essential self and the social self. And I am sort of now thinking and curious about like how that relates to this work and our voice. Because okay, let me find the thread. Just this idea of impulse, I think in my own experience comes from the essential self. And the social self, the kind of ways we come to consensus with the culture around us. This is cool, so we kind of trend that way or whatever it is. as that scaffolding falls, which I think is like the hope of any good grad acting program or BFA for dance, is to like get to this essential self where impulse is naturally flowing and it is our true nature, and it is then what is genuinely creative because it's new. It's
Right.
yeah, it's alive. So I guess I've never made the connection of impulse to essential self before, or true self. I mean, there's so many
Yeah,
names
true
for the
self, for sure.
thing I'm pointing towards. Um, but yeah, I think it's kind of cool to make that link for me tonight of that
Absolutely.
live.
Absolutely. I think that when you tie it in with the voice, right, that need to express that takes forever, right? I mean, you just have to sit with yourself and be curious, and I guess use, when I demonstrate, what am I experiencing? What is Jean experiencing? But that need to express, that is found here. But I think we have to understand something very, very crucial about this. Well, yeah, I'm sorry, Anne Marie, please, yeah, interrupt, yell at me, Anne
No,
Marie.
you go ahead. It was just another comment. Should I do that now?
Yes, please.
Okay. Well, I was just thinking that I never think of it as repetition, because when I play it, I just am in it and I'm drinking in the music, and I don't really know if I've done it 5 times before or not, because I don't think of it as that way.
Never. I never think of it as repetition. You know, I've said to students, Bill and I have done some songs for instance, Can't Help Loving That Man, 45 years, and every single time we do it, something new occurs to us, something new. And I always feel, obviously, it did not start out this way. It was very much when we started out working together. I was the singer, he was the accompanist, and we sort of listened to each other like that. But now it is this feeling of meeting, what I call the third place. We're meeting in the life of the song, and that is feeding us. And if you're in that experience of music coming through you, having that encounter, that relationship is incredibly rich. And every time you do a piece or sing a song, it's new, as you say. Now, at the beginning, I'm sure you did this too. I did think of repetition.
Oh yeah,
The
it's
repeating of
you who taught
exercises is,
me.
yeah, yeah,
It's
you
you
know,
who
you have
taught me
lived
to
there.
listen
Yeah,
and to live the music and drink it in. And
yeah,
if I do that, then it's new. Like you said, it's just
it,
being with it.
exactly, every time. Schechter, did you have your hand up?
Yes.
There you are.
I'm, since I met you, I've been having to recalibrate a lot of things about my voice, and it's helped a lot. I mean, the idea of getting the sound outside the voice using gravity, and last week I decided not to fight gravity, and I decided to let it do the work. But if we think of our personal voices as a Stradivarius, we can't master that in a week or even a month or a year. It's repetition, repetition every day. And the problem with the mind is it can grasp concepts very quickly, but it can't do it very quickly. And then we get impatient. And we can't get there without doing the work. And that's the hard thing. And I started singing late in life, and it saved my life. And it's been one of the great experiences of my life. I started in 2017. I wanted to learn both sides now. It was very difficult for me. I mean, technically, but it's taken me 9 years, and only in the last 8 weeks do I feel like I can sing it and begin to sing it, because Joni Mitchell is so powerful. I couldn't get rid of her, but now it's an involuntary muscle. So I'd like to see what I can do now with it. I mean, I'm very late to singing, but it's the most gratifying and the most emotionally frightening experience I've ever done solo on stage.
Right.
More than being in a scene and acting, because that's reactive. This is as vulnerable as one can be. But that idea of the words don't exist anymore. They're coming out of my body. So this is a time for me to learn the song. But that took 9 years. So how am I going to, learn to use this instrument quickly? And I realize I can't, but that doesn't mean I can't work at it. Is all I can say.
Because when we are talking about voice, and this is probably the most difficult thing, and why we do talk about repetition, why we do something like the voiceless hiss or the whisper concertem, but the voiceless hiss, and is to have the clarity of mental direction to say, I am sending air up and through. That is my direction. And that is what voice is. And we lose it when we have an idea of voice, every single person, and they jump to the throat and start to do something. Instead of you really have to sit with the understanding that you got these two little thin things in this larynx, these vocal cords, and they need air to vibrate. And they need a certain amount of correct air pressure in the lungs, sustained air pressure in the lungs, in order to vibrate those vocal cords that produce a regular sound wave. Now you hear that language and what in the world? We are so conditioned to think of my voice, singing, instead of it is the sending of air. And sometimes I'll wax poetic and say, it's your spirit. Spiritus in Latin means breath. So how does one do that? I heard that language from the very beginning of voice work. Send your breath, right? Speed your air. I would hear all these things, and you're just in this quandary of what in the world does that mean? How do you speed your air? How do you speed your breath? Only Olga was the one who talked about impulse. And then you have to extrapolate from that and work for years to understand that, because it's a personal discovery. But every great singer has it. You hear it in the quality of the voice. Didn't love the songs, but on Saturday Night Live, Brandi Carlile was singing. She got a great instrument and a voice on impulse. So she knows that. I mean, that's just part of her. But how do we do that? How do we stay open in mind to have an awareness? And I will say this forever, that it all has to do with, and it really does, how do we understand how we are here? Is it here and body below? Or do we have the understanding of streaming up from the earth, supported by the earth? And how do we come to understand that, to have the sensory experience of something upholding us? You can practice that all the time. Standing in the kitchen, I'm practicing that. I'm amazed at that. Oh yes, I feel like something is lifting me up. And then that invigorates that alignment, or just this, letting that happen. But how do you get to that state of mind that allows you to appreciate the sensory, just as if I touched you, you wouldn't need to do anything to register my touch? That's sensory. When we let the chair uphold us, sensing the chair rise up underneath our sits bones, that's sensory. How does the chair uphold us? That's confusing language, isn't it? That is very confusing language to think about what that is. But what if you stay open to that? Can it occur to you? What is your default? Or is it like we all start out with is the going in to try to feel, or the closing of the eyes, or doing like this. When we go in to try to feel or see for something, the head will automatically retract on the spine. That's just what happens, you know, instead of here. And that brings me up back to Kathy's question last week about the behind the forehead, because it very much seems like something is behind the forehead, that is where sort of imagination lurks. But it is also the release of the head off the tip of the spine. So if you really want to be good Alexander people, or good alignment people, or understanding the freedom of the neck, etc., but that's what it is. And you can't help but smile from it. And yes, Jillian, you know, from very early on, from the first article I ever wrote that I was asked to write in like 93, I think, something like that, for an Australian publication. And I wrote it on freeing the voice. And as I was writing it, I was thinking, this is like the search for the real self through the vehicle of the voice. Now, I probably would not say that about voice anymore, because to me, voice is a result of the airflow. And if you can send air and you're one with yourself to do that, and your mind is so clear and so focused, and you're directing all the time what it is that you want for your process. See, that's the focus of mind. Not that sort of focus, it's the focus of mind. And that is with me constantly. And I practice, that is constantly. I'm in that process. I'm directing that all the time, all the time, all the time. My ear is hearing ahead the music so that I don't jump to sing. That it's like I hear it before. And that is what talks to my muscles to allow the right thing to come out, or the focus. We do it when we do our, you know, little 5, 4, 3s and so's and all of that. It's how do we keep the ear moving ahead? It's the same thing. If your ear is moving ahead, your breath will flow. But the moment we go in to try to sing something, our breath will stop. You know what I mean by that. Of course, breath is always flowing, but it is not optimal, right? Our breath will stop, we will cut off. So our chore, our task is, how do we stay with this motor, this intention, this need to express, that communicates to the diaphragm to direct the ear up and through the vocal cords. So you see how your mind has to be there all the time, because you can't go on automatic pilot. It just does not work that way. It never works that way. You can be honed, right? So that awareness is with you, and you want that awareness so much, but it's never just throwing yourself out there. I think that's Jillian can attest to this too. In school, the hardest thing, you know, that makes me do no like that all the time, because, you know, we'll do something very well in singing maybe, but then going back, and we do it here, but I can't scream no to you here because I can't hear you. But, you know, you might do the so's very, very beautifully and speak them first. I will have them speak them first. So, in the first, they don't. Every single time, you know, I have to say to them, this is how I start. See if you can remember what the experience was like when you did the 5 little so's, spoke them, but did it from breath and time. So then, you know, so, and maybe you get so. And then I will do so. So, and they feel that instantly, and they get into it, and they never want to stop it, because when you are in that flow, you're self-energizing, and it feels super duper. It just feels wonderful. Then we go to sing it, and then after we finish singing it, I will stop, or I stop midway, and I say, "No, go back and speak it." So. Every single time. So how do we develop that type of focus of mind that, see, that's the demand. It's not automatic pilot. It's not like, oh, I've got it now. I don't have to worry about it. It's always going to be good. It's every second. Every second. You know, my story about seeing Itzhak Perlman on David Letterman years ago, and Letterman asked him about losing focus. And he said, "Oh, yes, sometimes. He said, "Really? You do?" And he said, "Oh, yes, only for a second. Only for a second." So, you know, that is you have to just keep that going all the time. And where you have great focus of mind like that, you have great influx of impulse, energy. So it sort of behooves us to have that going. But coming back to the basics, if we are collapsed in our bodies, down, head and body below, like that, there is no way insight can come into mind. It's just the way it is. So that's why we always have this part, the piece of the body, to try to understand how this thing called a torso comes up off the legs, just like our wonderful Native American on the horse, right? That beautiful understanding of how the horse goes up underneath the torso. And it's really hard won. It is really hard won because everything conspires against us. We start to do, maybe you do some exercise on the floor or something. I see it every single time. When somebody gets onto the table, the very first thing they do is they push their pelvis down onto the legs. And I say, "No, get off the table. Come back on." And I always teach them how to get onto the table. Lift yourself up on one, your one side, and then the other, so that you start already with a sense of how the torso is coming up off the legs, rather than coming onto the table and immediately pushing down like that. People have a mistaken idea of, quote unquote, lengthening their backs or lengthening their spines, and they do something by tucking, or when they get onto a flat surface, of pushing their pelvis down onto their legs. But that's not how it works. It is the psoas muscles that lengthen into the back. I think we did the lying down work last week. They lengthen into the back. So that is what lengthens this lumbar here. But if you try to do something like that, to tuck, that's very harmful. That can really, over time, not help anything. So you really want to have that sense of the torso backing up. That's the lengthening of the psoas muscles. But that's really, really, really crucial. So, sometimes if you're doing, Emery, I don't know if you stand to play flute or not, but sometimes, and even Aida, as you're working with your flute student, it's not a bad idea. I've done this with singers, to have them sit on the chair so that they can sense the sits bones in the chair rising up, so that not only will it free the arms, like that fiddle player I sent you, how wonderful is that, but it also frees the diaphragm and the back. So anything that we can do to really start to bring to our awareness how that torso works, that is.
So, Jean,
Yes, Anne-Marie, go ahead.
so sometimes when I sit and try to be aware of the breath, I sense that there's a little bit of a tilting of is that then going down in the legs?
That, no, if you, are you standing or seated?
Seated
Seated. No, that's
or
excellent.
standing, I
Yeah,
guess.
that's excellent. That's the lengthening of the psoas, Anne Marie. It'll always make us feel a bit tilted. It'll always make us feel a bit tilted. And if you watch some, you know, even photos of Metropolitan Opera singers,
Well, I
Met.
think it's only on the out breath. So that's why I'm thinking I might go down in my legs.
No, if it's on the out breath, I think that's absolutely fine. But in time, I mean, you really want to have that sense of it. Of course, singers are using the out breaths to sing, and you see that characteristic movement of the torso back and up off the legs. So that's really very, very good because otherwise, what I want to understand this really well. Do you mean that you feel like you're doing that, tilting down into the legs,
Yeah,
or that there is a tilt,
yeah.
as though somebody once said, my butt is sticking out. I remember several students have said that they feel like they're doing that. Of course, they're not, but it's the torso back and up off the legs. You know, that's that's hanging up from the psoas. We've never really done that, but that's something. And Alexander, he used to call it the monkey. We now call it semi-flex, and that's, you know, we're hanging from the psoas so that the arms, the limbs become extremely free. And then as you come up, see that psoas muscle is lengthening. I think, Anne-Marie, the pushing down on the legs, you would have an experience of going forward and down as you do it. I think you're doing something quite correct as you describe it. I really do. You know, just to remember what that looks like, that torso. Let me see if I can do this. Yeah, I think I have to put it on something lower. So let's say you were seated like this. Now that you see that, what that looks like, that is sacrum. That's what that looks like. There's a curve in this direction. Thoracic curve, or lumbar curve rather, and then up here, the thoracic curve. So lumbar curve and the curve in the neck, the cervical curve, are a bit parallel. Okay, so here's a little practice we can do. Let's do this, but watch me first. We're going to go back to the back of the chair through the lengthening of the psoas. So you have to have the mental direction. And you wait it out. And you wait it out. Legs are flowing away. Torso is moving back and up. And there you are. Now coming up is very challenging because we get so nervous that we are not going to be able to come up, that we push in every which way just to get to the end of the getting up instead of waiting it out and letting the psoas muscles move you. So what we tend to do is work from up here, and then we sort of collapse back here. And you see, not what's wanted. But you really have to think about how the psoas muscles separate the torso from the legs. But this, I think, is a very valuable practice of really saying, okay, my torso's moving back and up. My legs are flowing away, back and up. You're opening, see, you're opening in the fronts of the hips and back and up. Ah, there's the back of the chair, who knew? And then check in on your breathing and notice how fully you are breathing. You could even put your hands on your ribs. Feel that you have engaged the psoas muscles. So your ribs are able to be freely moving like that. Now the coming up, what do? It's sort of like a sit-up or something. And what do people do with that? They crunch. It's really harmful because if you crunch the outer abdominals, you will shorten the psoas muscles. We want length, length, length. So again, you have to direct clearly what you want and then just observe how that mental direction is doing the work rather than pushing on your body. What if we go forward? I have to move this back a little bit. Our tendency would to be pushing from here. We haven't done this in a long time. This is good. We go forward by pushing up there. But let's move through the psoas, so it's almost like we are moving back to go over, like that. And you can hang here. And if you wish, put your hands here and notice the breath. Notice the entirety of your back. This is really very good. Notice the entirety of your back opening. And you hang. And notice how free your arms are, because you're hanging from your psoas. And your voice is free. Now we can take this a little further. Well, no, let's come back first, because that, again, people want to push from up here. But let's take time and let the psoas muscles bring you back. Almost feels like a bit like magic that it is doing the work. Now, remember what we want to do. We want to go forward. We're going to roll over. But do we come from up here? That would be a disconnect. Can you understand how that would be a disconnection of the whole? You're sort of pushing on something called body. You're going to push on your body to do something rather than to observe how it works. So as muscles are lengthening, the torso is moving back and up. And you come all the way over. Head is dangling. You can feel your back open. And then we roll back up. Careful, don't push with the shoulders. Lengthening to come up. So you're really, really understanding how those muscles move you. I think for your practice to come forward like this, so as muscles are lengthening, so that you come even a very slight seated position like that, the seated monkey, where you're hanging, literally hanging from the psoas muscles. And you notice the freedom. And furthermore, you're going to feel the movement of the breath. Because that then helps you really understand the intersection of the psoas with the diaphragm. And I think that's really important. We get to know those muscles that are so crucial that Jillian was talking about, the real self, the core, right? The core. We know them through their quality, the quality of movement. The quality, and I will go further and say it's like time. You're having the experience of time. That can be very useful. So if we say, okay, we're going to lift our arm. How do we lift our arm? Again, mental direction. We know our temptation is to just get it done with. and to lift the arm like that, or to try to feel for something. What if I were outside of you and I took your fingertips and I lifted up your arm? You sense the difference in the quality of time, and notice what it does to your breathing. That's the notice the line of the clothing too. That's the intersection of the psoas and the diaphragm. And then you free in the shoulder joint and the elbow and the wrist. You do the other side. I'm out there. You take your fingertips and I lift up your arm. So you almost can feel the stretch from the right hip through the left fingertips. If you want to lengthen even more, you have to think, yeah, there's somebody up there that is just drawing up through your fingertips all the way from here. And you start to feel this tremendous elasticity. And you free. So those are the quality. What if we do a rollover standing? That's very challenging because mostly every single person has heard, myself included, remember this when taking dance class or something, of doing a rollover and the head led, and we had to feel every single vertebra as we came down. But you see, it immediately depresses my larynx. So if you're thinking of lengthening up, it's almost like you have to dive up and over yourself. So you're standing up, and then it's the opening in the hip joints, and you dive up and over yourself. And you can just hang. And once again, you can feel breath move into the back as you're hanging from your psoas. And it feels wonderful. Really stretches out everything. And as you come up, it's not yanking from here, but it's coming from here. Coming from here. And all the way up. And notice your breathing. So anything that we can do to begin to bring these muscles into consciousness and really use our minds and not feel rushed into completing the exercise or to get something done, especially in the chair, you can make tremendous discovery. Just tremendous discovery, especially coming from the back of the chair up, because that seems like intellectually impossible. But then if you really are clear, and this is like a passage of music, right? Being so clear on the passage of music that the body has no other choice than to carry it out. And it's really fun to play with that. The mind will do that when we do our exercise. The hearing ahead, the moving ahead. So, but let's come back now. So we know that there is that need to express that is going to animate the diaphragm. That's why I suggest keeping fingers here. It is your ability to say with your hands. Your hands are filled with knowledge. Your hands are filled with intention. And so when you put your hands on, it's not like, It's not without meaning, you know, it's not without richness. This is not putting hands on this inanimate thing. It's really coming on with intention, with knowledge of what that is, understanding of quality. Your being will tell you. Your diaphragm will tell you. when it cannot go further. And you have to be sensitive to that. You can't just see the outcome would be pushing to get a long hiss going, instead of being sensitive to what's going on. So you become a very good listener of the kinesthetic, the sensory. Let's do it again. Every time you do it, you can release more tension in the diaphragm and your exhalation will last longer. But you don't worry about that. You're just keeping that mental direction here. Hands are helping you with that. And you open and you let that air fill you, because you have, when you are keeping this going, you will trigger the reflex. You will trigger the reflex for the reflexive inhalation. I guess that's sort of redundant, isn't it? You're triggering the reflexive inhalation. And that's what you want. Otherwise, we'll be grabbing for breath and grabbing for breath to do the next one. One more of the voiceless. I think tons of discovery can happen with just doing that voiceless hiss. I really mean it. It's a wonderful thing. As you really are feeling, this is who I am. Just what Jillian was saying. This is who I am. And you can feel sort of this unimpeded stream of air rising up and out of you. A wonderful feeling. If we're, I remember a student saying, do a hiss, and he would push it out. And then I would demonstrate, and he would hear the difference. He would say, it's filled with content. I always remember that. I think that was a very interesting way of saying it. It sounds filled with content. And that's what happens. You know, we're not trying to put content into it or some sort of meaning or anything. It is just pure, unimpeded stream of air. Now, the challenge is voicing it. Right away, I've set you up by using that word voice, right? Voicing it. What is it? What is voice? It is sustained air pressure in the lungs that vibrates the vocal cords. You got to sustain that air pressure. You sustain it. The body mind knows you want a voiced hiss. You do not need to make something called a voiced hiss. It knows, just like it knows you want a hiss. You need to form the S. Knows you want 5 so's. You don't have to form it with the mouth. But it is so challenging. And once again, a lifetime of discovery. Again, how you would play a wind instrument, same thing. Is it the making of sound, zzz, which is that voice, my voice, or is it just air? Now, Anne-Marie, I had my hands down at the pit of my belly, and I could feel as I did that, the psoas muscles lengthening. I could feel that with my hands. My belly went in. That would be, well, you know, you're playing the flute, so you really can't be having your hands on your body, but you can definitely do it, practice it with the voiced hiss, and notice the same quality. So then you can make that connection. So it is the sending of air. Somebody has, and I don't know if it's from our class or another class, about, oh, I guess it was maybe one of the Columbia students, of talking about pulling in the abdominal muscles as you're doing it. And I think because of the feeling of that, no, you never want to do that because you would not be using the right muscles. You would be using the outer muscles to try to do something like that, which is not what we are about here. It's because think about this. What are the muscles that intersect with the diaphragm? What are the muscles that influence the diaphragm? They are the psoas muscles. They are involuntary muscles. So you have to sneak in, you have to use the sensory world to get to them. And impulse is all sensory, right? And the changes in pitch, that's all intention. I'm not saying, okay, now I'm going to change pitch. Of course, part of me is going to do that and says that, but it's not like making decision. It's just staying down here. It's directing the air, directing the air, directing the air, directing the air, directing the air. And it's really to do a good voiced hiss without getting stuck in an idea of sound is so valuable because it builds so much strength in the diaphragm. Why does it build strength in the diaphragm? Because you have to have enough air pressure, sustained air pressure in the lungs to vibrate the vocal cords to produce that regular sound wave. I want to have your ears, hopefully you can hear this, maybe not, but I will hope you will. If I push it from my throat to do an idea I have of voiced hiss or making sound, that's a very dangerous term, but I hear it a lot. Let's make sound. So of course we're going to make sound, and the only place you make sound is from the throat. So you don't want to think that. But if I did that, it would have zzz. All right, one way. Next way on breath. Zzz. I wonder if you can hear where the focus is of the voice. I feel it very strongly when I'm doing it from impulse. My voice feels up here, focused up here. And that's what projects the sound. Where the other way is, I feel it here. Zzz, and you can even see it in my throat. Zzz, you can see all the activation here, but zzz, it's not there. Same thing if we do. If we, again, let the lips vibrate from the sending of air. I feel that tremendous lengthening of those muscles as I go on, not at the very beginning, but as I go on, I really feel my belly sink in. That's the lengthening of the psoas, whereas if I push from the mouth, very different in sound too, and nothing happens. I'm keeping the motor going. Vibrate. You hear the push from the throat, but another very valuable thing to do because you're learning about motor. And you know, no one told me this, but I discovered it. That, I don't know how, sort of came upon me, that lip buzz, because everyone has always done a lip buzz. I remember going to voice teachers and we would lip buzz the exercises, free the voice. So it was in my vocabulary. but then making the discovery, and I still think it's from doing all this work in the Alexander of, opening up basically. It was a very different world. Where does that motor come from? That puts, and if you're doing speech work, it puts speech right on the lips. So we don't have to try to put speech on the lips. Another thing that I heard so much of as a singer, speech is on the lips. Speech is, well, then you try to do it, you try to put it on the lips, and you're nowhere. But it's the breath that creates that. So we have wonderful ways of practicing. And that's why, of course, I love the Whisper Counts of 10. And that is really challenging because we are now whispering and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We want to do something like that because it's easy and we know what that is. We know what it is to do that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's hard for us to say open to a possibility of some new way of doing it. Once again, the sensory is that ability to sensitize the ears to letting sound come to them rather than trying to hear. I can only show you, right, and maybe help a little bit with a curious ear. But what is that? Such a profound listening, a really profound listening for something, as if something were going to be whispered to you, as if something were going to be whispered to you, and it engages the right muscles. You can't try to feel for it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, 2, 3, 4. And we start to feel how all of this works. We're not doing it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But there is like a cha-cha in us. There is a dance. There is a rhythm, a timing. And they have to practice that too. How does your body live time? What is the experience of being pulsed? Another word for impulse. Another way of understanding impulse is being pulsed. Something external to you is rap tapping on you, like a drummer. Which is very different from me doing ta 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 ta, right? So a body alive with time. So. What's the difference? Is it so? The doing, and can we feel it when we do it? And you can play that game with yourself that I do in school too, of saying, could I have started that without me showing you first? The so. Is that living in us? That's, maybe I've never said it quite like that before, but I think it's a really good way of saying it. Something has to live in you. What is that experience and how does it live in you? So. That's a leap of mind, isn't it? To go from the doing, So. The trying to feel for the right thing and being pulsed. So. 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 It's the up, right? Yada pa pa pa. Yada pa pa pa. Yada pa pa pa. Yada pa pa pa. And you can go around your house and groove, right? You can just any place. Remember how we also worked with it just being bounced, like something external to us magically doing us. It's really helpful. Now, so our minds, this is going to be harder to really verbalize, but you're already doing it. But we know before we start, right? The old days, the old way would be jumping to sing. So. And maybe it might sort of feel good to go, oh, I'm singing. And I'm a big pain. I have to tell you, I'm really just a big pain. You know, I have some really wonderful students this fall term at Columbia. I like them very, very much. But there is one, and he's really a great student. I like him. But, you know, we were doing some singing and he was doing it. I said, don't do that, please. You know, don't mock it. He said, oh, I wasn't. I said, I know, but, you know, I'm not being critical, but don't do that. Be focused. Be focused every second. It builds such a muscle in you. So, you know, it's fun to sort of all sing together and have a hootenanny, blah, 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 right? You know, we're singing, but let's do our work and be very, very clear, because the other is like sort of throwing ourselves away, and there's a place for it for sure. But when you're, you know, really wanting to find something deeper in yourself, the commitment to staying focused just feeds you. Because once again, it's not about our singing. It's about something moving through us. It's about us giving expression to music by letting it get carried through us. So the demand is huge on us to be in response mode. So as muscles are response muscles, how we respond, how we have encounter with something. Something is feeding us. What is our relationship? We don't go out to it. If we go out to it, then it's upper body, right? It's that. But to encounter something, right? To let it fill us, it's a really different experience. It makes us really strong. So that lives in us before we even start that. Take your time. See, just check in, you know, did you tense? Did you tighten? Or could you just live in this place of time? So. And then the genius, body, mind, all the muscles get set up for the right thing. So. And as we go up the scale, it refocuses the voice. We're not doing that. So. See, we're floating just like that breathing meditation we do. We're in that ocean and we feel the wave of new breath and we let go to be lifted. It's the same thing here. So. If you feel yourself chafe a bit, like you want to move ahead, just drop it away. Be content. Be content. Hear it. Hear all those beautiful tonalities in that chord. Feel how it builds in you. single second, and maybe you could do this for a lot of seconds tonight, being here, commanding what you want, directing the right thing, then you've told a whole story. And so is going up the scale and down the scale. You have a sense of the whole. You've told us a story, right? That's how it works. Right? It's really genius. And we've done one thing. Our responsibility is to stay in that encounter and continue to direct that upward flow of air. See if you can go back to it. So. That becomes a memory in you, but not just an automatic pilot memory, right? It's just to a renewing of something. You're living something. And I know you all have had that experience of, a piece of music comes into your mind and it energizes you, or you wake up singing it or something. And so it's the same process, right? And we start to feel how we're responding to it, even if we're not singing it. Can we feel the diada ba ba ba, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1? Harder, right? Because we got those words, those damn words, and we jump to the mouth to do 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and listen to what it sounds like. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now I'm gilding the lily a little here. But I hear that in people. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Do you hear how every single word is different? Every word has different color, almost different pitch variation because of the vowels. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. How are you today? I mean, it could be anything. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You hear the flatness, monotone throughout the whole sound. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now, maybe we'll do some moving it and some pausing. So, stay open. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Keep renewing the process. It'll set up the muscles correctly. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hang out. Hear the music. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hear the music. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hear the music. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. See how the voices, so we talked about this last week, see how the voices focus all the way through. Now what creates that is that you are renewing that process all the time. You are not getting trapped into the idea of singing. And Mary Farrell, I'm just curious, you can tell me afterwards, you can yell it out now. How did that feel to you as we went higher? I only say that because, if you want to tell me?
It just came out.
It just came out, okay. And that was a C. Remember last week you were so amazed it was an A? Minor third above that now. How wonderful, right? Really wonderful. So if we just are staying with that, it just comes out. Now, of course, we have ranges. And, I'm not tweeting up in those high notes anymore myself. So, but we are doing a very modest range here And so that's the middle voice. And when you have a good, strong middle voice, that's really shows the health of the voice. Excellent work. Excellent. Now let's play a game. Play this and I'll go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. But what if I do this? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. See, I can take you any place. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And the voice is focused. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. See? We don't have to keep going up, chromatically. We can take it any place. And if we are in that process, the voice automatically focuses. And it's pretty wonderful that we can have that. Let's do our little song. See, and then you renew. La 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 la. But it's every single note. See, otherwise it would be la 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 la. You'd be singing on the note. Does that make sense? Instead of now you're learning what it means to hear ahead. La 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 la. And it becomes very satisfying to start to use your ear in that way. Your ear is moving. It is hearing that song before it comes out of your mouth. But it is so split second that it's not sort of a linear thing of hearing first. That's why it's very hard to use that language of hearing ahead, because it's just, you're moving and moving, you're moving your breath, you're moving your ear. And again, we can take that any place. La 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 la. You are not singing on the note and you're not going roach. Now the other way would be sort of mindless. La 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 la. I mean, it would be mindless. I almost can't demonstrate it so well. La 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 la. Then it's satisfying for you as performer. La 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 la. One more. La 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 la. What is the difference? Your body is living it. Your body is living the music rather than you having an idea of singing a song. That's why we do that spoken business. La 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 da, da, da. What is my body living? That is going to influence my breath stream, that vibrates my vocal cords. And out here we hear how you have lived the song, not how you have sung the song and put your personality into it and your ideas of the meaning and all of that, because you're living it. You are living it. And it's a very, very, very different experience. Now, this is a song we know very well. Sometimes I feel like motherless child. But let's just do it on our mums like that, to experiment with the mind. I'm not going to sing. I don't think you do that anymore. But it's like the mind hears ahead. Listen. See, it's the mind is directing. You're living the music, and then it comes out of you. It's a really different experience from singing on the notes, trying to create the music. So let us just live it and enjoy it. So we don't have to worry about the words. That will come. Words will get in our way, so we don't want to load the dice right now. So let's just enjoy. Let's enjoy with our mums, or more of a hum, mum, whatever you like. But wait for it. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Let's just say that. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. What did we do? We go on. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. 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 A long ways from home. A long ways from home. It could be any way. We don't know in the moment, but we do know what that quality of waiting for something to move through us is. That we are not jumping to do. Sometimes I feel like a motherless. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Encounter, encounter, encounter. Now, I realize I made it low, but that's fine. Don't worry if it feels too low at the bottom. We'll move it up for second verse. But sometimes I feel like a motherless child. 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 A long ways from home. And this is where it's tricky. A long ways from home. A long ways from home. Sometimes I feel like I'm almost gone. Let's do our mums here, and then we'll do the words a little higher key. Hope I can play it. Sometimes I feel like I'm almost gone. 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 A long ways from home. A long ways from home. A long ways from home. Even that, as I play that, you know, I'm not doing that, am I? Something feeds me. Can we go back and try speaking it? Sometimes I feel like I'm almost gone. Sometimes I feel like I'm almost gone. Sometimes I feel like I'm almost gone. A long ways from home. A long ways from home. It feeds us and we respond. And that's, we don't know today, maybe different tomorrow or the next time we practice, where the time is going to take us, where the pauses might come. That's all part, it's like an improvisation all the time. And that's what Anne-Marie was saying at the beginning of class. Every time she practices and plays the piece that she's playing, she never thinks of it as repetition because every time it is new, every time something occurs, but the process is the same, of being receptive, of being in that encounter. So lots of things to play with from tonight. So let us gather round and let me hear from you. Yes, Schechter, tell us.
There's so much going on here every week, and I can get trapped by trying to figure it out in intellect. And all I can do is this is what I've been doing. I have to trust that it's already into intellect and let it go because I've been here and let the body find it. And I'm trying to simplify my life. And it's so basic, but I start with the whispered R, aligning my body. And I made a big change last week. And for me, it's a big change. I've been working too hard to get gravity to ground my body. And your advice is just to let it go. The gravity will do the work for me. And the next thing is I've been working too hard to lift my head. I don't have to do that. The head
No.
wants to lift itself. I
Yeah.
just learned that last week.
And that'll come from the feet.
Yes.
And again, we just have to, there is physiology here. It's not just a concept. We have these sensory nerve endings in the feet that use gravity to make us go up and away from it. So it is
And
really something that
that's
exists.
brilliant. Brilliant. Speaking of that, last week, I tried to walk feeling the rotation of the earth. Now, whether I feel it or not, the body must be aware of it.
Right. Absolutely. I think anything like that, you're giving
Thank you.
yourself the suggestion, the direction, and if
Thank
you stay open, you get the insight. I think that's just wonderful because it does seem strange. How does the earth move you? But if you're staying open, you get insight. I mean, I would do that. I've told you this. I would walk around the streets of Cambridge, Mass. And Watertown, Massachusetts, and say to myself, what could it be? What could it be? What could it be? I was always pondering, what could it be? What could it be? What could it be? And I think if you're doing that, you know what you want to discover. It really, something gets set in motion inside of you. So I love hearing that. Thank you. Other observations from night. Hermine, I didn't get to say hello to you, so nice to see you.
I think it's I was just noticing that when you asked us to say a phrase, it wasn't so easy for me to have the emotion come. But as soon as you asked us to sing it, the emotion was just there. And I think it's because it's in the music, or
Yes, right, right. And yes, absolutely, it is there in the music. That's what makes these so powerful. So when we do the humming, which I advise, I think it's wonderful. You know, you're just you become an instrument of a vehicle of what that is. And the doing it in the spoken, I agree with you. It's just you have the same encounter. It's the same as you do with your poetry of letting, you know, the words speak through you rather than the saying of the words. So,
oh,
yeah. Other observations? Hi, Jesse. I didn't get to say hi to you earlier. Anything else from anyone? Yeah.
I'll just share just this feeling of like it feeds us and we respond. I know it so viscerally in dance and just teaching dance a little bit more lately and creating like I'll choreograph a phrase and we'll do it. And at several studios, I've taught the same one. So it's like at that point it really does dance me and it really is the feeling of response, and it's still not totally there for me with my voice. Like that's just it's
But
so interesting to me. I've spent my life as a mover, right? And so yeah, just like how much that's true for me inside of movement, and that the voice, there's a lot of moments of it for sure, and certainly like in grad school there was many, but I do realize like the dance, it's like riding a bicycle. It's just there for me at this point. Yeah, but yeah, it's just interesting to learn, right, from another artist who studied the voice your whole life, like kind of the similar mirrored experiences just through a
exactly.
different
Because,
vehicle.
you know, I still have that wonderful piece you did it at Juilliard, and it is all on impulse. It is all on receptivity, encounter, response, the whole thing. I mean, it was very powerful to see that. You are a baby. I can't hear you, my dear.
Whoops. When I think of creating that, like I wasn't responsible for it. It just came through me. Like that really was the experience with that. Yeah, which kind of brings us back to this idea of impulse. Like if we can get out of the way, something is living inside of us that can come
Exactly.
through.
Well, dear friends, what a great session this was. Really terrific, terrific, terrific. So we have our bonus review class. What did I say? December 6th, something like that. You'll get the famous flyer for sure.
Mhm.
No, December 8th is the holiday bonus review class. So have a wonderful, wonderful Thanksgiving, and we will see each other next month. And I cannot wait. So take very good care, send along any insights, and we'll